Good evening. How's this? Is this better? How's my level? All right? All right, thank you. So I've been doing something interesting for the last few months. My wife and I really enjoy listening to audiobooks while we're driving. And our kids live in just outside Cincinnati with our grandkids, and we go up there as often as we can. And normally it's like sci-fi books and all kinds of different stuff. But I thought, I'm in the mood for a classic. So we kind of went through a couple of them. I tried the first 2.5 hours of War and Peace and could not give a good goddamn on any of those characters. So I know I kept falling asleep, so we put that one away. And so then we decided to settle on The Count of Monte Cristo. And this audiobook is 64 hours long. And I'm like, we're gonna do it. So, as we pulled up today, we have 15 minutes left in this 64-hour saga. And it's been an incredible story. It is told way too long, but it's been an incredible story. So this is what inspires me tonight. Tonight, I will tell you my favorite revenge story. In 2000, I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, and I needed to change my cell phone plan because I had my first wife and my son, well, I guess at that point she was my ex-wife, were living in Cincinnati, and all my friends were there, so I was going to need to be able to make more phone calls than I had. Now, for the young people in the audience, back in the day, you had to pay for cell phone minutes, right? Like by order, right? So you'd have 200 minutes for the month that you paid for. And if you didn't, then there was consequences, right? It would become very expensive. This was a really stupid way to do this. I'm very glad that they don't do this anymore. And I think there was actually a law that got passed it. And maybe this is why. Because I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, and I called my friends at Sprint, remember that name, Sprint, and said, I need to change my plan from 500 minutes to 2,000 minutes, because I'm going to be making a lot more phone calls back to Cincinnati, because this is where my friends and family are. And they said, no problem, sir, that's perfectly fine, happy to do it, and it was however much more money a month it was. About a month goes by, and I get a bill from Sprint for $2,152. Apparently, the person that I said to change from 500 to 2,000 changed it to 200. And so when I ran up 1,200 minutes worth of calls, it was 25 some odd cents per minute after we got past the first 200. And I thought, well, this is obviously some kind of clerical error. I'm a kind person, I'm an optimist. I like to think of myself as giving people the benefit of the doubt. But when I got on the phone with these people, they were like, no, sir. It's 200 minutes. 25 cents for every minute after that. It's in our contract. Wait, what contract? That's not anything. Well, you said so on the phone. No, I said 2,000 minutes, and I'm sure that you record all those phone calls. Let's play it back, shall we? 3 or 4 phone calls later, come to find out, sorry, the recording was lost. It's still 200 minutes. Needless to say, they stuck by their guns, and it was $2,152. And I said, you're not getting a dime. I said, cancel my service right this minute. And this is when I moved over to T-Mobile, which I've had ever since. But they persisted. They continued to come after me for this $2,000. And I'm like, no, I'm going to pay you for the minutes that I use, that's fine, but for the 2,000 minutes, in my book, they owe me 800 minutes. Right? No. So I told him then, I said, look, and I am, not to toot my own horn here, but I'm a bit of a call center ninja. I've gotten Apples to replace computers. I've gotten T-Mobile to give us brand new phones for mistakes that they've made. I am pretty skilled at getting these folks to do things that they wouldn't normally do. Sprint was having none of it. So I told them, I said, look, I'm not going to pay them. You're going to do whatever it is that you're going to do, but I can promise you for the rest of my days walking on this earth, I'm going to tell everyone that asks me this story. And if I get the opportunity, to take business away from Sprint in the future, you can bank on it. That was 2000. Over the next few years, they continued to pursue me for this money. It landed on my credit report, made it more expensive for me to buy cars, made it more expensive for me to buy houses. They sued me, put a judgment on my credit report, and I still refused to pay. And I challenged it with whoever it was I could challenge it with. But they stuck to their guns, and eventually, after however many years, it fell off. I think it was like 7 years or something. But I kept that ember. Oh, man. So fast forward, it's 2017, I get a job here in Memphis, Tennessee, actually in Horn Lake, Mississippi, and my job was to oversee a lot of remote site events. And I had about 250 or so employees, and 200 or so of them had a corporate phone that we gave them, and about half of those had a separate hotspot, like a Wi-Fi hotspot, everybody knows what this is, so that they could report their data back to headquarters, so they didn't have to count on the event space to have Wi-Fi. So the second or third day I'm in this job, the bill comes across my desk, and who's it from? Sprint. I'm like, oh boy. Now the company that I worked for was pretty change averse. So I went to my friends in accounting and I said, I want to bid this contract. And it's a $28,000 contract. So they're like, well, you're gonna have to find a way to save us money. No problem. So I walk over to Verizon, I call T-Mobile, I call a couple of other services, and I get the best quote from Verizon. I'm gonna save us 10 grand a year. So accounting's like, go for it. And I said, okay, so what do we have to do? And I get all the specs, and I get all the details, and we get the new Verizon phones and the new hotspots in, and we send them all out to the staff. They send them all back. There was an option for them to send them back directly to Sprint. I said, no, send them to me. So I got my office just full of Sprint crap, right? Phones and hotspots and all this crap everywhere. And finally, I get one of my team, and we load all this crap into my car. And we drive it to the nearest Sprint store. And I walk in, and they come in with 2 big cartloads of crap. Cell phones, hotspots, all of it. And I said, here is your $80,000 worth of equipment back. Cancel our $28,000 a year contract, and you can keep the 2 grand.